Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is April the 14th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good, all things considered. Happy Monday, happy Garfield Day. Hopefully you got that lasagna. Hopefully it was nice and hot, very tasty, and you had seconds. I would love that for you. My day was is as solid as it could be. Dare I say it was a good day. I think it's just Monday, and kind of letting little things get to me. But I'm trying not to dwell on it. I know the overall was a really good, solid day. Starting off with work. We'll say sleep was a little spotty. Had one of those situations where I took a long Sunday siesta and woke up in 1 o'clock, and I was kind of stuck in limbo. But I was able to get another hour or so of sleep. Woke up in a coughing fit, and I was like, man, this really isn't over. The sickness, and that was a little bit of a bummer. But as I got through the day, overall, I've been all right. Mild coughing, bit of congestion, but workable, not too crazy. Speaking of workable, the job wasn't too bad for a Monday. It was pretty slow. It steadied up to a point where I kind of had to get back to the area and actually hang out there for the day, do my job, God forbid. But no, it was fine. Overall, it was a good day. At least in that regard. We went to the gym. I feel like I'm still in this weird transition phase again, where I'm switching up how I want to do things maybe throughout the whole week. I'll eventually update on what I wind up landing on if it winds up being at least concrete. But overall, the gym was good. It was solid. I almost got into an accident on the way home because, I'm a bit of a dumbass and things be happening real quick. But luckily, I'm fine. Car's fine. Honestly, I care more about that damn car than my life. I know that's fucked up to say out loud, but I really do. That car, if I get fucked up in that car, I'm fucked. I will never financially recover from that. So yeah, I was a little bit stressed. I was a little stressy spaghetti. Also, another thing to note was I was having a little bit of stomach issues, a little bit of tummy issues. But that's from a food corner that I'm about to get into. So, a little bit of silver linings in the playbook, right? But overall, we get home, we settle in, and as I'm getting ready to record, I'm like, today was good, Isaiah. Don't hold on to it. So I'm talking about it a little bit, but overall, today was a good day. I had a couple weird little interactions, but we sidestepped through those. We're good. I'm happy to be here. Hopefully you're happy to be here as well. But let's actually segue back to yesterday. Let's moonwalk back into the past, into Sunday, and talk about Food Corner, because it's nice to talk about. I love talking about food. Y'all know that. I miss it. I miss talking about my food meals to y'all every day. It's that was a nice little part, and this diet kind of took that away from me. But it's okay. We move. So essentially, as I was making my usual Sunday diet meal, which has kind of become the standard for me, I knew that I was going to add some refried beans. I'd been doing that the weekend, the whole weekend, Saturday and Sunday, because I was just hey, this is my little treat, is I'm going to add a little bit of refried bean to the mix. And on Sunday, I have this little thing where I've kind of become a tradition for me to add some kimchi into my rice and chicken and rice bowl. So we got some lettuce, some carrots, some kimchi, some chicken and rice. And in this situation now, I got the refried beans. And I'm like, damn, this meal's starting to look mad familiar, no? And it literally, pound for pound, is essentially the Mexican beef and rice bowl that I usually do. Just swap out the beef for chicken thigh, which, debatably better, honestly. Now, I didn't put all the fixins in there, but I did put a good amount in, and we added, I got real nasty with it. I got real greasy with it, y'all. I added some nacho cheese. I added some mozzarella. Oh, it was so good. And then it gets worse. It gets worse, or better, I would say. I I had some, because like, here's what happens. I get the meal all set up. Like, that's the bowl, looks good. You know, I put it on my table, getting ready to eat. And like the Green Goblin mask from like my fridge is like calling me. It's like, hey, you did get those nacho, or you did get those, the nacho chips, right? You got the chips, right? Why don't you add the chips to the meal? And it's like, and you know what else you have in that freezer, Isaiah? You got some tortillas that you got on stasis. You could just pop them out right now, heat them up real quick. You'd be good to go. And y'all, my dear listeners, I succumbed. I succumbed to the urges, and next thing you know, I have 3 tortillas out there. I got a whole plate of some chips. Oh, and I was tearing it up. I was beating it up. But I want to say it was worth it. I will say I struggled with a bit of how do you say, the food guilt, which is an annoying thing to have, you know, because like at this point I've been very regimented with my diet. I've been sticking to my script for the most part, you know, taking a few cheat days here and there, but like that's supposed to be a part of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make this lifestyle stick and like actually, you know, really commit to it. And committing to it is having those moments where you say, hey, I'm going to eat some food and enjoy it, right? Like I'm going to go out of my diet and enjoy that, and I'm going to be fine. So the fact that I spent the rest of the night into today dreading that until I got on the scale again, like that's not how this should be. And that's something that I've been like mentally wrestling with throughout my day. It's just like, I cannot let this pursuit that I have like fully consume me to the point where I'm just like so obsessed. You know, I've had a little bit of this conversation before in previous episodes, and it's something that I continue to struggle with, continue to work on, which is like, you gotta take time to appreciate what you've done. You know, like I've really gone so far. Like on record today, y'all, 63 pounds gone. Like I made that happen. And, you know, I didn't do it alone, with the help of my friends, my peoples, and, you know, put in the work. Sure. But like I got to enjoy that. I can't just be like, but what about the next thing? I got to get to the next thing. And I've been so dogged in my pursuit that sometimes I let that like get in the way of my day. I let it get in the way of the moment, and that's not good. That's not healthy. I'm really trying to work on that for real. I really mean that, y'all. So I'm happy that I enjoyed that meal. It was so good. I will say though, kind of like when I ate that pizza, the Domino's pizza the other week. Yeah, the thing I hate is that like with this diet, my stomach is so used to eating a certain way, and it's a good thing, right? Because like I'm not exceeding things, so like more times than not, most days, my stomach's a lot better. My for lack of a better term, my movements are a lot better. So like when I eat something really like just crazy, out and out wild, I pay for it, like anybody, and I hate that. That feeling sucks. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm just trying to figure things out, adjust, and have a healthy and fun lifestyle, right? Like I feel like I'm definitely at that point where I can kind of start incorporating more of those things into my life and not feeling so bad about it, right? So I don't know. Giving myself a bit of a pat on the back, but also chatting myself to do better, right? A little mix of those two things. So, all right, I've done a lot of yapping, and we have a good amount of news to cover. So hopefully I can get through it in a very deft, efficient way. But let's go ahead and do our startup and get into some news. How's that sound? Hopefully good. I'm sure y'all sick of me just yapping, blah, 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 and about my bullshit. All right, let's get into the startup. Yeah, let's rally. All right. Whew. Let's start off with a couple of updates from The Independent. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele says he won't return man who was mistakenly deported from U.S. The Trump administration is refusing to ask El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele to release a Maryland man who was mistakenly deported to his country and incarcerated in a notorious prison, and Bukele isn't interested in releasing him either. Bukele, who met with Trump in the Oval Office on Monday, was asked by a reporter if he considered releasing Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Salvadorian citizen who was living in Maryland before he was arrested and deported back to his home country last month, despite an immigration judge's years-old order preventing the government from deporting him. Now we're going to kind of fast forward ahead here and just read Bukele's quote, at least one of them. Are you suggesting I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? How can I return him to the United States like I smuggle him into the United States? Of course I'm not going to do it, he says, which is a complete warping of the conversation up front. But at the same time, I know that there are plenty of people in like the Trump MAGA base who would eat this shit up with a spoon, and they're feeling like, yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Like, he wasn't supposed to be here anyway. So like, you know, why is it such a big deal? Like, it's like, motherfucker, this is due process. And not to mention, in going through the due process, he was granted the asylum. Like, we can't just rewrite history and then just say, oh, fuck the law, and then just say, hey, we're going to kick him out. But I guess we can. And essentially, Bukele is like, yeah, no one's making me, so I'm not gonna. Even though there are multiple judges, technically all the way up to the goddamn Supreme Court, who are saying, yes, you do need to bring this guy back. But he's leaning on the idea that, well, Trump's not making me, so I can kind of make the call, and I'm making the call. I'm not going to fucking bring him back. No. And he's being a fucking pompous piece of shit about it, which apparently is this guy's style all over. Let's see here. He goes on to brag about how he has, made El Salvador safer. We just turned the murder capital of the world to the safest country, Let me reread this, make sure, this is him saying it. We just turned the murder capital of the world to the safest country, the Western Hemisphere. Okay, that's how he said it. And you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to the murder capital of the world? And that's not going to happen. Now, let me not hate on him. You know, he's speaking English or whatever. It's fine. But it's like, dude, come on, like, congratulations on, saying, hey, we're going to bend the law and we're going to just throw that shit out a little bit. And I'm just going to fucking do some draconian shit in El Salvador. And I'm going to get these numbers down and people are going to love it. And that's true. People are happy, like, to have the crime go down and have this feeling of like, hey, there's at least a little bit more safety. I'm not getting like harassed as much. I'm not having to like fight for my life. I'm not, having to deal with this like whole protection racket or something from like an MS-13 or some kind of gang. But that also being said, you are also vacuuming up innocent people and just swallowing them up into jails, into this prison system where it's like, hey, like, we're not giving them any kind of due process. There's not really any kind of law and order here. We're just grabbing people up and saying, you're a gang member. You're never going to see the light of day again. Also, I want to make an amendment or a change, a correction. I mentioned CCOT, and I said they got an hour of time a day to either be going to like a religious activity or something like that, or get some outdoor calisthenic time. It's 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So it's even half of what I fucking said. So you're putting people in these draconian situations, saying, hey, yeah, we're busting crime. And it's like, dude, okay, all right. Yeah, by any means necessary. Okay, all right. So it's like, no, I'm not giving you a fucking pat on the back for that. I don't think anyone really should. Let's see here. What else did I really want to pull from this? There's probably some more quotes or whatever, but I really just wanted to, just update the situation. It's a shame that Bukele has chosen this. It's also a shame that the Trump administration, knowing they're wrong, they've admitted that they're wrong and that this was an actual fucking error on their part. They're just like, well, what can we do? Our hands are tied. Bukele said what he said. And it's like, you are the president of the United States. This is the Trump administration. You can make him do that. You can tell him, Bukele, give him back. Like, he has to go through this whole due process, and then maybe he will go back to El Salvador. But at the end of the day, this is what Trump wants. So he's not going to really fight this. He's going to say, put your hands in the air. I did everything I could. Sorry, judicial system. Actually, there is one thing I wanted to kind of say. One more quote from Bukele. I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people back to their country of origin, he said. And I can tell you this, The foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has the right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. Motherfucker, this is a fucking checks and balances system. Don't come over here and tell us how this fucking works, because apparently you don't understand it. But once again, if you're a Trump base, you're nodding along, and this guy looks a lot like Andrew Tate to you, so you're like, yeah, no, it's fine. I fuck with him. I fuck with his energy. We should be more like this, which is crazy. Because, once again, if this was your family, you wouldn't like that. You wouldn't want that. But then, I say this, but I'm talking out of turn. Because I've literally I've seen stories where people have like, oh, well, damn, yeah, they took my significant other. They apparently, were an illegal, which is a fucked up thing to say. They were an illegal immigrant, and like I just have to take the L. And it's like, brother, are you serious? That's supposed to be the love of your life, and you're just shrugging this off. Like when asked, like, hey, do you regret your decision to vote for a guy like this who is now instituting this policy that is, you would think, wrecking your life? And it's like, yeah, it's sad. I'm upset. I'm gonna do the best I can, but like, yeah, no, I would still vote for him. So these motherfuckers are fine with it. At least some of them. Most of them, I feel like. I don't know. I'm being a little anecdotal here in that regard, but it's wild. It's wild shit. But anyway, there's another update I have. This is over the Josh Shapiro, fire in the residence. Anyway, let's read from NBC News. What we know about the suspect in arson at Pennsylvania Governor's Josh Shapiro's residence. The man charged in the arson attack at the historic Pennsylvania governor's residence said he had hatred towards Governor Josh Shapiro and would have attacked him had they come face to face, authorities said Monday. Cody A. Balmer, 38, is unemployed, has a few nonviolent criminal convictions, was charged with assault in 2023 on social media, and on social media has displayed simmering anti-government statements and memes. He has been charged with attempted criminal homicide, aggravated arson, burglary, terrorism, and other counts in connection with the attack early Sunday, the Dauphin County District Attorney's Office said, announced Monday. So definitely the thing that really instantly kind of had grabbed my attention was that Balmer said, if I would have ran into Shapiro, like in the process of doing this, like I think he hopped like a 7-foot fence, or he climbed a 7-foot fence or whatever, a barrier or something like that. He breaks in. I think he initially throws like a Molotov, which he made from like lawnmower fuel or something like that. Then he winds up breaking in. He essentially starts 2 fires within the residence, and then goes out the way he came. But he was like, if I would have ran into him, I would have beat him with a hammer. Which I'm like, bro, that's like the thing out of the Batman. That's that Riddler shit. I was like, so he was committed to the fucking bit. Let's see. Balmer also said that he lived with his parents, he was unemployed, and that his last job was a welder at a truck body manufacturer. Balmer said he was single, but when asked if he had children, he responded, a lot of them. It's also worth noting, too, that his ex was involved in like kind of the process of him turning himself in, because they did have him on camera and all this shit. And I think once like everything kind of hit a fever pitch, he called it in and had his girlfriend call it in, and then he like goes and surrenders himself to the law. Let's see here. The motive, that was something that I was really curious about, right? And because initially it was definitely floated, especially because this was a Passover weekend. Josh Shapiro, Jewish man, Jewish family, was like, oh, is this an anti-Semitism thing? And I think that's still something that maybe people are wondering, but it definitely seems, especially after reading this article, that this was more of an anti-government thing. And it's not even so much that he hates liberals or anything like that. I think he's just anti the whole government. Like, he was sharing memes that seemed that he was down to like fuck all this shit up. He didn't give a fuck, and this was his expression of that. In the article from NBC News, actually show the extent of the damage at the governor's residence in Harrisburg, and it looks pretty fucking like intense. Let me read a little bit more. Balmer was caught on security cameras both inside and outside the residence. He was seen wearing a black tools jacket and black boots and carrying a bag. Security video showed the intruder climbing over the exterior fence, approaching the piano room windows on the south side of the home, and breaking an exterior window with a hammer, the criminal affidavit said. He then threw a Molotov cocktail inside. Shortly after, flames were seen in the interior of the home, the probable cause affidavit said. The intruder then moved to an adjacent window, broke the glass, and entered the home through the window, the affidavit said. Inside, he deployed a second incendiary device in the dining room, which spurred another fire. Ballmer then moved towards the dining room exit. The video showed him wearing two gloves of different colors, one orange and one yellow. The intruder had been seen kicking the dining room door open and exiting the residence. He left the property in the same direction he entered, climbing back over the perimeter fence, running through a parking lot, and fleeing the residence in the southeast direction. So yeah, I talked about how he turned himself in via his ex. So yeah, I mean, he was also held without bail. I don't think I mentioned that. I mean, there's more details here, but I don't feel like really digging into it. Joe Biden gets mentioned, so of course they had to like pan to Jill and have her say a quote. I'm like, I don't care, man. I think he posted something about how like Joe needs to pay him $2,000, like that's what he's owed or some shit. Like, I mean, okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, definitely, crazy situation that unfolded. Like I said, literally was some shit out of the Batman. Only he doesn't get the guy. He just starts some fires that get put out. But I did see while I was on NBC News that there was an update that came to the ticker that the Trump administration freezes more than $2 billion in federal funding to Harvard. Essentially, Harvard was standing up to Trump and saying, hey, we're not going to be compliant to the things that you want us to cut to keep our federal funding. We're not going to change. So essentially they said, fine, we're going to cut your funding of $2 billion. That's a big deal. It's going to be a radical shift in, in what Harvard can and can't do. And this is something that a lot of universities are having to go through. But to at least a certain extent, you appreciate Harvard for doing this and not laying down like Columbia University did and just say, oh, we'll do whatever you want. Daddy Trump, we'll make sure they don't have the mask. We'll crack down on all this anti-Semitism stuff. We'll do whatever. Just you set the bar and we'll try to reach it. Knowing good and damn well this guy's going to come around knocking again, trying to take your fucking money because he doesn't like any of these goddamn colleges. He doesn't fuck with any of them. But, I mean, we'll see what comes from that. I just wanted to at least mention that because I felt like it was a relevant update. Let's move along. Actually, let me take a water break. I yapped already more than I expected to for this episode. I was supposed to keep it brief, and I just blah, 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 blah. Excuse me. Whew. All right. From the Associated Press. Search suspended for 5 missing from capsized boat involved in failed suspecting smuggling venture. Excuse me. The search has been suspended for 5 people missing after a boat capsized during a failed suspected smuggling venture off of Florida's Atlantic coast, the U.S. Coast Guard said Monday. On Sunday, Coast Guard crews rescued 4 people from the ocean, some 25 nautical miles, off of St. Lucie Inlet, which is 46 miles or 74 kilometers north of West Palm Beach. They also recovered the body of one person. After the rescue, a survivor reported the vessel departed Bimini with 9 people on Friday, and it capsized early Saturday morning, the Coast Guard said. Another boater contacted the Coast Guard on Sunday about the capsized boat. Crews searched for about 7 hours and covered more than 1,240 square miles. The decision to suspend a search is always difficult and never taken lightly, said Chief Warrant Officer Edgardo. We're going to say Edgardo. Once again, Mia Culpa, I get that name wrong. Edgardo Insinieres, a Coast Guard Sector Miami Search and Rescue Mission Coordinator. Smugglers routinely exploit vulnerable aliens for profit while putting their lives at risk aboard overloaded and unseaworthy vessels. These dangerous and illegal voyages must be attempted. Safe, legal, and orderly migration saves lives. Don't take to the sea. So yeah, I mean, an unfortunate happening from the Coast Guard. Anyway, moving on. From ABC News, this was a plane crash incident that I guess I missed my radar. I got it confused with I think the New York, New Jersey helicopter situation off the Hudson. Just kind of off the numbers, and I was like, oh wait, I gotta cover this. Wait a second, back it up. Former NCAA Woman of the Year, 5 other family members killed in upstate New York plane crash. Which I guess should have set it off, but we also had the plane crash in Boca Raton, Florida. So once again, I was just like, oh wait, did I cover this? Did I not cover this? So I didn't. The 2022 recipient of the prestigious NCAA Woman of the Year award, a former soccer player at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, was one of the 6 victims killed in a plane crash in upstate New York on Saturday, according to a statement from her family. Karina Groff, a medical student at NYU Langone in the Department of Neurosurgery and a former soccer star at MIT, died when a twin-engine turboprop plane crashed 10 miles from the Columbia County Airport near the town of Kopaki. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong. Kopaki, New York, on Saturday afternoon. 5 others, including Groff's partner, James Santoro, died in the crash, the family said. He was most looking forward to proposing to his love, Karina, this summer, the family said in a statement provided to ABC News. Only one woman each year is chosen as the NCAA Woman of the Year, with 3 finalists from Divisions 1, 2, and 3. The honor has been given since 1991 and includes women such as Basketball Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo, 1995, Olympic gold medal swimmer Kimberly Black, 2001, and 3-time Olympian triple jumper Katura Orji. Hopefully that's correct. If not, once again, mea culpa. 2018. Might be Orjai, but either way. The passengers who died were all members of Groff's family, including Groff's parents, Joy Ciani and Michael Groff, her brother Jared Groff, and his partner Alexia Coyutas Duarte, the family said. Joy Ciani was a pelvic surgeon, and Michael Groff was a neurosurgeon, as their daughter was training to be, according to the family. We will remember them as the 6 brilliant, dynamic, and loving people they were, the family says. The families asked for privacy during this difficult time. We could go through the logistics of how the plane crashed. They technically don't know who was actually flying the plane, but I believe it was Michael Groff who was, because he was an experienced pilot, at least so said the family. But yeah, I mean, they wound up, I think there might have been like some deteriorating weather conditions. He winds up missing, I think, the initial pass for the landing. And I guess next thing they know, I know I'm kind of yada-yadaing this, but next thing you know, they wind up dipping low and wind up crashing. So it's very sad. It's very unfortunate happening. Crazy to have like within like the same week 3 crashes. I feel like that's not common. I don't know. I know I cover a lot of these, but I feel like boom, boom, boom. Like that's a lot. And technically you could exclude the helicopter. You could cut that one out. But still, air travel, a little scary, a little spooky. But I will say I'm happy that my friends came home. I was happy to hear that. I was bummed that I couldn't get to see them this weekend. But, hopefully I'll be making a full recovery and being back and seeing them very soon. But obviously I know I'm being anecdotal at the completely worst and wrong time. Condolences to, everyone involved here, to the family, people connected to the family, friends, all that. It's a very sad affair. Anyway, let's move on to our last story, which I can't say I'm surprised that it caught controversy. You have rich people going into space on some Elysium shit. Like, you're gonna get some hot takes for sure, for sure. But look, I thought this was a cool thing, and y'all know I'm a space little junkie. I'm a space little nerd, and do you want to see a Challenger? Anyway, I'm dropping weird lines here, but let's take our last break, and we'll go ahead and get into it. Oh, yeah. Whew. I want to say if you've made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you. I know I usually save that for the very end, but on a day like today, especially if you're a new listener, you made it all the way here. Like, what is this? What are we listening to? This is crazy. This is garbage. Well, I appreciate you for being a champ and just hanging out and seeing like, well, maybe this gets better or something. Anyway. Spoilers, it doesn't, and I'm gonna do it tomorrow, hopefully. Ooh, all right. Our last story is from Yahoo News. Blue Origin, Blue Origin's all-female flight launches to edge of space with Gail King, Katy Perry, and Lauren Sanchez on board. Blue Origin completed its latest spaceflight Monday with an historic all-female crew. The mission, NS-31, was the 11th human flight for Jeff Bezos' space tourism company and the 31st overall. It included 6 women: aerospace engineer Aisha Bowie, activist Amanda Nguyen, CBS Mornings host Gail King, pop singer Katy Perry, film producer Carrie Ann Flynn, and Lauren Sanchez, an author, TV host, turned philanthropist, and Bezos' fiance. So, I mean, if I were to tell you who Jeffrey Bezos is, that's crazy. I don't know how you got here and you don't know who Jeffrey Bezos, you know who that is. I feel like that goes without saying, and boo that man. That being said, I mean, what a lineup. What a crew to have going to space. Very girl powered. Let's see. I kind of want to keep reading, but I kind of just want to get instantly to my riffing and my 2 cents. The crew boarded their capsule atop the fully autonomous New Shepard rocket in Van Horn, Texas, early Monday for a suborbital flight that lasted just over 10 minutes. So very short. I don't know if you remembered years back when Shatner and a group of motherfuckers went. That was like a time that we covered. I feel like though that didn't get as much static as this did, but it was also, I mean, equally as corny and whatever. But also kind of cool because at the end of the day, like, yes, this sucks. Yes, this is some shit for the fucking elite that you were advertising here, and you're trying to like, hey, get more interest and get more investor dollars probably or whatever. Like a normal, schmuck like me is never going to be able to afford a space tour like this ever. And not to mention the actual waste that you're doing here. You're not learning anything. There's no growth. There's no research or anything being done here. It's just vibes. But is it cool? Yeah, it's fucking cool. So I get it. And also it's like, hey, ladies in space, like girl power. Like I get the appeal. I get how you get these ladies into a rocket and you shoot them up there. Let's continue. The rocket took them past the Kármán line, 62 miles above Earth, which some international aviation and aerospace experts consider the threshold of space, allowing the crew to experience a few minutes of weightlessness before returning to Earth in a capsule that employed 3 parachutes as it touched down on the desert floor. Let's see. They go through like some of the description of maybe some of the people you don't know. Which is actually, I wasn't initially going to cover, but I think it is important because kind of to my final point that I wanted to kind of get to. Nguyen, a rape survivor, brought the hospital bracelet she wore after the assault as a 0G indicator, or an object intended to float in the cabin during weightlessness. She said she brought it as a reminder to never, never give up. Perry, as in Katy Perry and Gayle King, each kissed each other after exiting the capsule. I love that Katy Perry had to sing "What a Wonderful World," even though she's like, I didn't like, it's not about me. It's not about singing songs. It's about a collective energy. Girl, whatever. Like, yeah, baby, you're a firework. Whatever, dude. Cool shit. And for Gayle King, she was like, oh, I have a fear of flying, but you know, let's see, I'll just read her quote. This was not a ride, she said. This was a bona fide freaking flight. I really don't know what that means. Okay, yeah, it is. It's like the same style dick-shaped rocket. I don't like that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this is very girl-powered. The first all-female space flight since 1963, when the Soviet Union's Valentina Tereskova became the first woman to travel to space on a 3-day solo mission. So, I mean, yeah, we had like a bunch of girls in that rocket. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was cool in that sense. But I will say, some of my peers, they were like, man, I hope Katy Perry dies. And I'm like, yo, I mean, to a certain extent, it's funny to like meme about it. I'm a millennial. I get it. Ha ha, he. But like, do you really want everyone on that rocket to die? And I think some people would answer, yes, I do. It would be funny, it would be cool, and I want to see it. And it's like, so you want a challenger, right? You want a challenger for this new generation. I personally don't. I heard about that shit. That was before my time. I like saw that shit on like, like recordings or whatever. And I'm like, this makes me feel bad. This makes me feel sick to my stomach. Like teachers and shit died. Like, so yeah, I don't want to see like an activist die or whatever. But then you also hear about this whole glam backlash. The all-female crew drew criticism over a joint interview it did for a recent Elle magazine cover story in which it revealed they would be getting glammed up for the flight. Spacesuit is finally going to be glam, Perry said. We are going to put the ass in astronaut. And then Bowie said she recently went skydiving in Dubai because she wanted to test out her hair and make sure that it was okay. And that is like so like there's just a certain kind of deafness to that I'm like, oh yeah, this is too girly pop. This is too like cotton candy nothing. Like, don't get me wrong, I think everyone understands that like this is a very cool, like, once again, all female milestone thing. This is awesome. This is very neat. Space is great. But it's like, what are we talking about here? Like, this is a whole lot of nothing. And it's a waste of fucking time and money in some aspects. So it did draw some criticism. Olivia Munn, I don't know if you know who she is, but she had some words to say. I know this is probably obnoxious, Munn added, but like it's so much. I didn't start at the right point. My bad. Let's start at the top. My bad. But she said this with on NBC's Today with Jenna and Friends. What's the point? Is it historic that you guys are going on a ride? I think it's a bit gluttonous, she said. Space exploration was to further our knowledge and to help mankind. What are they going to do up there that has made it better for us down here? I know this is probably obnoxious, Mom added, but like it's so much money to go to space and there's a lot of people who can't even afford eggs. I mean, true. That's totally true. But also at the end of the day, I didn't hear the same kind of static when William Shatner went up there and came back and was like crying, like it was beautiful, blah, 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 blah. And there was more hate, like, oh, this is like the end of feminism. Jessica Gross wrote, I don't know who the fuck that is, but she wrote an op-ed in the New York Times. I love that for her. Gas up. But I mean, yeah, what my final 2 cents on the matter to close out, I thought it was cool. I'm not gonna lie. Call me an asshole. I thought it was neat enough, right? And at the same time, funny to meme about, right? Like, what song would she? I don't know why she's saying "What a Wonderful World." She should have said She should have played Firework. She should have sang Firework. Like, come on, be real. I don't know. I Kissed a Girl. That one also would have kind of hit. Would have been funny. Anyway. I'll leave it there. I don't want to be cringe, or at least any more cringe. My voice is giving out of me. I can feel it. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to help me out. Or not help me out. Send me some feedback, I guess. You want to contact me. IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Free ways to hit me up. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. That is how you help me out for free. That is what my mind was trying to get me to. Free way to, keep up with the Joneses, keep up with the episodes, leave a cool comment, leave a like. Those things help out my algorithm. Sharing is caring if you feel like doing that. But I really just appreciate you listening. Shout out to once again, the new subscriber. That is a helpful way to help with the podcast, boost my algo. And, it's just cool to see a new name there. It's like, hey, welcome. Hello. Anyway, that's it. I think my mind is oozing out of my ears. I don't know. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.